Ladies and gentlehands, welcome back to the hardcore world, and today we're going to be expanding our roads a little bit further and establishing a new little village right here in this beautiful little forest. Now, real quick for context to show where we are relative to the valley. The valley is on the other side of this big old mountain right here. You can see our satellite just barely out there in the distance and our observatory right there. But also, Gray Bridge is right here, looking mighty fantastic as always, and some of my cool custom terraforming I did quite some time ago. And of course, the Japanese village that we worked on, the Zen Garden, is right over here. So we're not too far from the rest of our world, but we are slowly expanding outwards towards some new frontiers, some new foundations. And this village that we're going to be working on today is no exception. So what is this new village going to be? Well, it's going to be a boat cleaning slash boat repair kind of village overhanging the water here. And my imagination for this, like the world building, is that a lot of boats that come in from the ocean, they work their way inwards toward the land through the river, which right now the river is very shallow and very narrow. And the boat and the village and everything we're gonna be building is not gonna be quite the scale of that. So, we have a project cut out for us in the future for that whole stuff. Very fun. But yeah, we're gonna build some really cool looking docks kind of overhanging this entire area with multiple little layers, slowly working their way down to the water level all the way down here. And it's gonna be so cool. I'm really excited. My big imagination for this, and it's not very accurate to real life, so please excuse me for using my freaking imagination. But I do imagine some sort of crane holding a big old boat over the giant hole here of the water basin, and a bunch of docks kind of going around it. And I'm imagining a bunch of barnacles kind of attached to the bottom of the boat. So they go there and they clean the boat. They also repair some broken parts or whatever. I think it'd be really cool. And I think this whole area that we could eventually expand on in just this little general vicinity of this forest and plains could be really freaking cool. And I just think it's to be a new build style for me to kind of dive my head into. But before we get started on that awesome village, we have a few little menial tasks we got to do. The first thing we got to do is clear out a bunch of these trees and get the path all established, kind of going through the rest of this forest, clean up some of the terraforming. Man, look at this absolute nasty generation. I think I want to extend the path to go a little bit further out and over this little hill to those cherry trees. We'll probably stop it right about there. But, eventually we're planning on really going far out with this path. Eventually it's going to lead all the way around here, up this little hillside and past these mountains. And there's a big old meadow biome right over the hill here that eventually we're going to really be building really big in. That's the plans, at least for the far future. All right, but enough yapping. Let's get working on clearing out this forest. All right, we got the path all cleared up here, and the forest on this left side here cleared up a little bit. I think eventually we'll expand out on the right side over here into a bit more of this forest. There's actually quite a lot of room, and I've been gaining ideas as I've been working out the idea, the main build for today. Okay, but now it's time to kind of start planning out what we're gonna be doing here in this area. And I think I'm gonna come through with a little bit of some stone and just do a little bit of an outline so you guys get a better idea of what I'm imagining. All right, here is my outline for what the docks are going to look like. And we have a lot of layers going on here. We also have a really big kind of open area here and some weird looking terrain. I think I talked about clearing out this little piece of terrain earlier. I did not get to it because I'm lazy, but we'll get to it a little bit later as we're working on this build. But you can see we have all these layers here. We're gonna have the lower docks. We're gonna have the loading dock here, which is a bit more of like a stone platform that kind of extends all the way down to the lower water there. And this lower docks will kind of be more of a cargo area. Then we'll have the upper docks, and this is more of like, I guess there'll be also cargo up here and like boxes and crates and stuff, but it'll be a bit more accessible by the public. And then we have the very top layer there, which is where we're gonna have a cool restaurant right here. We're also gonna have another building over here, and then maybe some little knickknacks over here. I haven't quite decided. I don't want to do another building here because I don't want there to just be building. Eventually there's gonna be a whole town kind of where that tree is all the way back further. So I don't want to just have a bunch of buildings right here. And I think eventually too, I think it'd be cool to expand out over on this left side here too, and maybe even a little bit more on the right. So I kind of want to leave it a little bit open, not just kind of fill every single little space quite yet, because I think there'd be some really cool plans for the future. Whoa! Oh my gosh. Give me your trident. Give me your trident. Dude, I just want a trident. Screw you, buddy. And here's another angle from all the way up top here, just so you get a little bit better idea of like kind of the scale and the size of some of these docks. We're going to connect up some spots here with some stairs. So like I have this little lower platform here. I think I want to have a little bit of a path come kind of, you know, branch off of here. Have a little bit of a lower area that kind of stops right here at this dock, and then have a proper staircase that goes down, connects up to this layer, and this layer, oh, dang it. And this layer is going to house our big boat that we're going to build kind of right here in this corner. So we're going to work on that after we make the actual docks area, because I haven't even finished designing the boat yet. But the boat is going to be the big eye candy of this area, because it's going to be held up by a crane. And I'm just like so excited for this idea. I've had it in my head for so long, and I'm really excited to execute it. And also to try to get a really, really cool looking boat, because I want it to look accurate to real life. So I'm going to be getting some help, I think, from Builds by Zay. So I'm very excited to collaborate with him, because he's a fantastic builder. Make sure to go check out his channel. And then we'll probably also have another staircase right here that connects up to this upper area. And that's pretty much it for the most part. There's going to be some awkward little areas here kind of coming up to the town. So that's what I was kind of talking about. I don't want to, you know, shove a house right here on this platform, but maybe there's a house over here, or maybe there's some more like foresty stuff going on. Not quite sure. I definitely want to do some custom trees around this area and kind of have a little bit more fun with the, you know, with the just the environment of this area, because we are a little bit more secluded from the rest of the world. And even the valley, which is super far away. So we can have a little bit more fun with our environment in this section of our world. All right, guys, I think that's enough blabbering, though, because I am really excited to begin working on this. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the montage. And just like that, with a little bit of time, our docks are complete. Our repair docks look so beautiful. I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. Oh my goodness. So real quick, the inspiration for this area is actually inspired by a little spot in Alaska called Creek Street. I mean, there's actually a proper name for the town. It's like Katichikan. I'm really bad at names, I'm sorry, but if you look up Creek Street, Alaska, will find a lot of the inspiration I used for this place. You can see like the nice little like wooden restaurant buildings kind of hanging out over the docks. The docks are all really tall compared to there, but I think it is our own unique little take on it. And very shortly here, we're going to be building a cool little boat right here being held up by an awesome crane. So I'm really excited to begin working on that, but first we need to kind of talk about the awesome build we have here in front of our eyes. A lot of the buildings in that little town are kind of wooden, very, you know, colorful, but also very run down. They have a lot of weathering on them, so I really wanted to recreate that with some fancy fun colors. I did white over here with some little pink hints, a little bit of blue right there, you can kind of see it. I did a big old red building here, a little bit of purple made its way in there on like the awnings, and just like right over there is actually a little bit of blue as well. Call me crazy. And then down here, a nice little orange guy. I just thought orange would be cool, because usually when I sketch out these builds in creative and everything, which by the way, I did a whole creative live stream working on this build, so make sure to turn on notifications for live streams if you're interested in catching those. You can also join the Discord, discord.gg/barce, and you can get live notifications about all that fun stuff. But anyways, we made the whole thing out of orange concrete, just kind of planning it out, and someone in my chat was like, you should make an orange building too, so I made one of the buildings down here orange instead of, you know, any other weird boring color. But I think orange turned out really nice. It's a nice little color pop down there. So first we have the lower docks right here, and this is kind of where like maybe the big old boat will pull in. It'll be down here on the water at first, and then all the crew members and the captain and stuff will all get off the boat, and then they'll be like, all right, no one's on the boat now, you can lift it up. So this is like the lower docks for the passengers to move along and come up towards this area. We've got some more crates and everything, kind of some offloading stuff, just kind of fill up a little bit of space. Cool little orange building. I think I might try to make this into some sort of like bait and tackle shop eventually, but you know, Barce Classic, there is no interior. Then we have this nice little lift right here going all the way up. And you know what? I was working on this lift and I realized something that we could do in the future is try to implement some happy gas into this area because, you know, happy gas, they have that big old platform on them. They act like it's a big old platform. So it'd be kind of cool to have them be moving up and down this. And you can kind of control if you're on the lower dock, you'd be like, all right, it's time to go up. And you can just bring the happy gas and go straight up. I don't know how well it will work because happy gas are kind of annoying, but if we have like a little snowball thing down here, you can like bring him down, put the snowball away, ride him up, and then he'll just kind of hang up there. I'll have to like kind of block off stuff. And anyways, let's hop up here and you can now see the upper docks. And I think the upper docks are kind of my favorite area because it just feels so cozy and it feels so rickety and wooden. And I love all the knickknacks around here. You know, there's some more crates, a lot of pots, using some note blocks and beehives, and even some stripped logs here with some signs on it creates a nice little like barrel kind of crate look. Some shelves over here with some campfires, a little ladder, some more beehives and stuff right here. You can get a little bit of a closer look on this white building here too. I used a lot of signs to kind of create a nice little like rickety repaired look, like they've kind of come in before and fixed a few parts of it, repainted with some, you know, off coloring around the area here. And then also just a nice little trim using some dead coral fans to kind of create a little bit more separation between each layer, each floor on the building. Oh, it's getting nighttime. We should sleep. And then on the right side of this building, we have a really cool little building tech that I've recently picked up from some other builders. But essentially, we have an offshoot of the building that is made entirely out of walls. So it's a little bit more separated from the rest of the building, adds a little bit more depth into the whole thing. We have a nice little curved roof here too. And I think though, just the diorite walls is a really cool trick to kind of create just a tiny bit more depth in your build, a little bit more shape, and a little bit more interest as well. Unfortunately, you know, you can't really texture walls all that well because Mojang refuses to add all the cool walls that we could potentially have. But I'm still pretty happy with how this has turned out. And then finally, our third and last building here is actually a restaurant, which I'm quite happy with. I did a lot of these big open windows, a little bit of an awning too, using some crimson wood. And the restaurant's called The Bait, you know, add a little bit of a line right here. But I thought it made sense, you know, it's like a kind of, you know, we're at the waterfront, big old docks. People probably come here to fish every so often too. So calling it The Bait makes sense. I really like this red palette too that we went with here. We have a little bit of some browns coming through on the darker shades, kind of trying to blend in a little bit with the slab roof design we did here. We, you know, kind of have to keep those blackstone bits in there, but I think it turned out pretty well. You can barely even notice it. And look, even a little bit of purple made its way into this build, just for a little bit of variety. There's a blue terracotta right there. I might have pushed it a little too far there, but I think it's a nice little color little boop, little boop. And I've been really liking doing this tech. I did this ever since I made the warehouse a long time ago. You should check out that video if you haven't. But, you know, I did these little blackstone buttons and some chains along the side and kind of just creates a little bit of extra texture and a little bit of extra depth along the building, kind of creating some nice lines that you can follow because, you know, we did a lot of like vertical texturing and a little bit of blobbing. So there's not a lot your eye can naturally grasp onto to kind of anchor the whole building. So I feel like adding these lines in adds a nice little anchor point for your vision to be like, oh, this is a sort of line going across the rest of the building. Then there's a little bit of an interior too. You know, this one got an interior because it's a little bit more open so you can see it from out in the water. But yeah, I made a nice little like trophy fish right here. Does this look like a fish to you guys? Let me know in the comments, please. A little fish tank right here too. Some cool paintings on the wall using some new Minecraft paintings and some custom ones. A nice little bit of seating too with a little candlelit table right here, but you know, not too much detail in here because I don't think there's going to be any purpose to this. Also, okay, I need you guys to acknowledge my awesome detailing here on this building because I popped off. I wanted to raise this one up a little bit higher than the other ones. And I did this really crazy cross stuff down here, and I had to get a lot more intricate because it's a smaller scale. And look, there's even like fences back there, fence gates to add a little bit of extra wooden oomph to this building. And that's also why there's trapdoors all over the floor in there when you know, you see these guys. But I tried my best to cover it up. But I think it looks really nice. I like the wooden posts that's like one layer back just to create an extra little line there in the middle. I think it turned out really good. and it's something that you will barely even notice, so you're welcome that I pointed it out. And I mean, that's pretty much it for this dock area. It's, for the most part, done. Oh, there's some water towers there too, just for a little bit of variety. But now it's time to begin working on the boat that's going to be inhabiting right behind my little fat head. Sorry, get that out of the way. But yeah, I worked on this boat with Builds by Zay. He's a fantastic boat builder. He is officially the boat guy. I've dubbed the boat guy. And so he helped me out with making an awesome shape here. I was really struggling on making a boat shape. I tried it myself and I wasn't very good. So he helped me out with that. We got some cool colors in there and a lot of really neat lines and everything. And I've never made a really good boat before. I've made Tuggart. Tuggart was great, but he was really small and like kind of more fantasy based. So I had a great time with him. But a real boat that's not really to scale, but it was scaled down and it's based off a real boat. So I was really struggling with the shape on that, but Zay came in clutch with that. So let's get to the montage on working on that awesome boat. Holy boat. Do you guys like the boat that we made? I think it's freaking so cool, and I think this is actually a great angle to view from it from. But look at this thing. I think it fits very well into the entire theme of this area, and I think it's a very, very well-shaped boat. Once again, another shout out to Zay for helping me out with this boat. I am so happy with it. And one of the main things when I was like working on this area, when I thought of it way long ago, months ago, the first thing I thought of was I want a boat to be hanging up by this big old dock, and I want there to be barnacles on the bottom of the boat and some warping and some miscoloration and stuff, just so it made sense for why it was floating up in the air. But look at the barnacles. Look, we got some coral blocks in there with the tube coral, which like 1000%. Look at that texture. That is barnacle. But then we also have some pale hanging moss around there, some hanging roots, and some buttons, and even a few candles. I did some gray candles there, some green candles up there, and some stone buttons and all that. We have also some miscolored warped wood, kind of, so not actually warped wood, but I'm thinking the wood is in itself warped. We have some weathered copper here, some more hints of green kind of coming throughout, like if the wood's a little bit rotted. I think it's just turned out super well, just like the shape of the boat. I wish I could explain it as well as Zay does. So pretty much the process that Zay and I went through to make this boat, I'll explain it as best as I can, but hopefully he has better videos explaining it if you're really curious. But we made ribs of the boat. We went through and we made each individual kind of line going through, and then we connected up those lines and kind of created nice smooth connections between each of them. And then this is like our rudder right here. This is like the back of the boat. So we had a bit more of a rounded look up here, and it's a bit more like concaved. It starts out pretty wide and it quickly goes in and then gets very skinny at the front of the boat. I think that makes a little bit of sense. Look, we even have a little lifeboat on the side of the boat right here, and this big old wheel right here, like a big paddle wheel. We have some cool lines going up and all the chains making up the freaking sails of the boat. Oh, it's so cool. And then obviously we have this big iron bar thing right here kind of going around, and this is how the boat is being held up. And then we even included this little square part up here, which is kind of like the structural integrity for the rope, for the boat to like stay level on I guess on itself, right, to stay perpendicular or parallel with the docks and everything. Then we have the big old crane going down over here. This little base of the crane was actually made by Fwip. When I was working on this on the live stream, he hopped into the world I was building in, which was a creative world, and he kind of just threw this little base of a crane together, and I really liked it, so I stuck with it. I changed up the actual crane itself to be a bit more copper, just to kind of match the theme of this thing right here. And he also put netherite blocks on the back of this, which does make more sense. I'm imagining netherite is very heavy and would actually be probably a pretty decent counterbalance to a giant boat like this. But I am poor and I don't have netherite like that, so we're sticking with obsidian for right now. I hope it makes a little bit of sense to you guys, but I definitely will agree with those few comments who are going to say The counterweight on this does not make sense for a boat of this size. Yeah, I agree. Okay, but it's also Minecraft, so I was gonna say grow up, but grow down. I don't know, just use your imagination, have some fun with it. But even on the boat here, we have a little bit of a smokestack right here. It's a little bit angled too, using some trapdoors and some glass. It looks fantastic. And then we also have the kind of cabin right here. It's all scaled down. You know, this boat, if it were realistic, if I was trying to build it to scale, this thing would be about double the size, which would have been really cool to see, but it would not at all fit the scale of this area. And I think this perfectly fits the scale. I do think, you know, I was sitting back here kind of observing it before I started recording, and I realized that the boat is a little bit long, which is fine, but I think eventually, you know, we're gonna have to expand out the docks area, kind of start going along the left side here, just so the boat fits even a little bit more into the scale of this area. But, you know, we'll worry about that when we have a better idea of what we're gonna do for an extended docks area. Maybe we make more ships of this, just make this whole area like a shipyard inside of like a little chasm. I think it's pretty cool. You know, obviously all the ships can really fit through these cracks right here in the really shallow water. So it's like perfect for this area. Yeah, our ship is looking freaking awesome. And while I was on the boat building mood, I decided to add a few little paddle boats right here. And this is kind of stolen from Schuler's design. He has his own little canoe, I guess you could call it. I think a canoe is the correct term. So I kind of stole a similar design. I shrunk it down a little bit and did a little bit of tweaking to it. But shout out to Schuler for showing this off in his last video. I thought those looked really cool, so I made my own little versions. And they're hanging up on some shelves over here so like people could come over, rent them out, whatever. I kept calling this thing a boathouse, this white building. So I was like, may as well throw a few boats in front of it so people, you know, it actually makes sense to call it a boathouse. There's boats now in or near the boathouse. Then I also made one more all the way over here. This one's a bit more colorful, but it's hanging off the side of the pier. I thought that was nice. I think that's something that I've noticed before visiting a sort of pier, like a pier or a docks area before in real life, is seeing a few boats kind of hanging off the side of the wall, kind of up for decoration. Maybe they're old and kind of dilapidated. So I put up this guy right here, did a little blue and white action there because there's no freaking warped boat. So I couldn't make a blue boat, which I thought was kind of sad. So I did a little bit of both. But I think for the most part, we are done with our docks area. The repair docks are complete. But now it's time to head over to the library. And we are here for the comment of the week. Today, our comment of the week is from Infinite Bath. I can't believe you didn't do a mushroom dealer. Such a oh my god, such a missed opportunity and deeply tragic. They were talking about the underground illegal black market that we made a few episodes ago, and oh my gosh, you're so right. If you guys didn't realize from that episode, we were doing a lot more subliminal kind of like illegal substance, but Minecraft version in the illegal black market, and a mushroom stall makes 1000% sense. I think we should go build one real quick. I'm kind of down. Let's go see where we can build one. All right, here we are in the underground market, and we have a few kind of open areas. We have a kind of a spot over on that side. Our bamboo has still not grown. I just need to bone meal it, don't I? You know, I could just take out this little corner right here and make a nice little stall. I'd be down for that. Let's just do that. What color shall we go for the roof? You know, we're gonna go with pale. I think a white pale roof would go perfectly with this. And real quick, I thought I'd mention that the comments of the week don't necessarily have to be build suggestions. They can also be questions about my my video editing process or whatever you have it, how I play Minecraft thoughts. I do want to talk a little bit about the new update that's coming out, the Nautilus update, the Mounts of Mayhem. I think it's so exciting to have some new mounts and some new underwater stuff. The Nautilus guys are so cool. I don't know, call me crazy. I think it's really freaking exciting to have some new stuff to explore. I'm always very grateful for Minecraft updates. You know, it's a free game at this point. I've paid $20 multiple years ago, like maybe 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago, and I still am playing this game to this day on the same account, and I have no regrets. Anyways, let's make this little shack right here. And you know what, guys? I'll be honest, if I had the warped mushrooms and the crimson mushrooms, I would add it to this little shack right here. But I am lacking a lot of the resources I would need right now. I'm all over the place. I need to go get resource gathering so freaking badly. Oh my goodness. But I think this suffices for a little bit of a mushroom stand. Yeah, what do you guys think about that, okay? But let's give ourselves one last glorious look at our new repair docks. Oh my god, the boat looks so good. I'm so happy with it. But anyways, y'all, I think that's gonna do it for today's episode. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it. Big shout out to all of the fancy barce pluses you see on the left side of your screen right now. If you want to join them, make sure to join as a channel member. And while you're down there, maybe hit the subscribe button and leave a like on the video. And I'll see you all next week. Bye.